Hey, Spiritual Squad. This is Richard of Guidance by Richard. We thank you for taking this time. Just a healthy reminder, we continue to try to make sure we give as much information for everyone in our audience. We ask that you like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. And we hope that you find the usage in everything that we're doing. Additionally, it's nice to also give donations. We're open to donations, so that's also included. But today I have a very, very interesting spokesperson today. It's for another chapter for a meeting at the Crossroads. Our honorary guest is Phoenix Hilaire, formerly known as Raven Black, is a published author, personal consultant, and mindful coach. For the past 5 years, Phoenix has hosted private and intimate events for women around the tri-state area. At the urging of her current clients, has decided to share experiences and knowledge with all who are curious. Phoenix worked for 2 years as a workshop leader for workshops and business opportunities for New York, New Jersey. Currently, she works as a mindful, accountable partner and quantum healing hypnosis practitioner. Her objectives are to remove the shame and taboo associated with sex and advocates for attained self-help techniques. Thank you for joining us today. How are you
Thank you
today?
for having me. I'm good. I'm good.
Awesome.
Yeah, how are you? How's everything? Thanks for
Everything
having me.
great, great, great. I'm so glad to have you. It's been a well, patiently looking to talk to you. So you're this is one thing about you. This is very unique. You're in this industry, so it's not a whole lot of people in this. So to have you is really great, and I'm hoping that this will also give people more knowledge. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Phoenix.
So I mean, you said a lot for me. I think that covered it. I've been a spiritualist for quite some time, but I really dug in shortly before COVID started. And throughout the pandemic, I learned about quantum healing hypnosis therapy. And that is basically a meeting with your higher self and learning about who you are and maybe some life cycles that you're trying to end, past life regression, and addressing bad habits. I found it to be really eye opening when I had my session. So I went ahead and went through with the certification through the Dolores Cannon School. Dolores Cannon is the founder, the creator of the QHHT technique. And so I found that it was just really helpful as far as taking my spiritual practices to the next level.
So what exactly is that quantum healing? I know I just read it. I don't know really much. Tell us a little bit for our audience as well.
So it's mostly when you hear about quantum healing hypnosis, it is mostly geared towards past life regression. So it's the idea that we are reincarnated and that we've signed some sort of soul contract with our the people in our lives, our friends and our family members. And when you go through your quantum healing session, the goal is to visit a past life, but oftentimes a lot of my clients are just going back to their childhood. And it just really helps them with identifying those behaviors that they have in their present life that they're trying to eliminate or just habits they're trying to break.
So what could be some of the challenges when you reflect on that past? Like what could someone possibly or tell me a little bit about that.
So I've gotten permission from my clients to discuss their sessions. So one in particular, many of his past lives, we went through three of his lives, and it was all the same, even in his present life, where he's not making time for personal relationships. He's focusing on work only. And the end result is that he's alone and he still doesn't have his career that he's looking for, that business that he's trying to build. And so we go back in these patterns to see, okay, well, this is something that you keep doing and you're doing it now in this lifetime. You're not feeling fulfilled, and yet you are honing in on, I need to build a business. And each time you're finding that that is not serving you the way you thought it would. And so now after we, have that sort of breakthrough, we then discuss how we can shift what he's doing, his behaviors now. Couples have come to me to discuss their infidelity and how where that might come from and how to get back on track. The wife visited, so in her how the session goes, you pretty much go into they call it a theta, your theta brain state. It's the part of your brain that is active right before you go to sleep or when you're having dreams, and you're telling me what you see. And sometimes it sounds completely crazy, and other times it just sounds like pretty much day-to-day things. um and it can be a traumatic, you're revisiting trauma sometimes too. So I mean, there's so many different benefits for quantum healing hypnosis.
Can you walk me through, because I don't know a whole lot about hypnosis, but how would one, when someone comes to get some help from you as a practitioner, walk me through like how would that happen? And then what is hypnosis?
So I people have come because they, like as I said, they're looking to break a habit, or just they're feeling like there's an emptiness and they want to know, how they can fill that void. We will sit and talk for about an hour, sometimes 2 hours, to go through, just the everything that comes to their mind as to what they think might be causing their issues. It's more like a therapy session.
Okay.
And then they lay down and I do an induction. It's a script that I read to them. We are provided one as quantum healing practitioners. However, I noticed that it didn't always connect. So I tweaked it a little bit. But we'll sit, that induction process takes about 15 minutes, and you're talking the entire time. And the session is recorded. And it's almost like putting my client to sleep, but stopping right before they fall asleep.
And then
So,
I guess they kind of walk you through where they're at during the
yep,
state.
what they
Oh,
see. So, and we try not to give too much away because sometimes people will still be alert and now they're not describing their past life, and you can see the difference. There's a difference in the way they speak, in the way they breathe, and so you can see that body shift during the induction process. And yeah, it'll just be, sometimes they're looking at their hands and they're seeing themselves as children. I had a client during the induction process, he couldn't see or hear anything. He, in this particular lifetime, he was deaf and blind. And
wow.
so, yeah, those things can be a little tricky to navigate. Sometimes it's an emotional lift really for everyone participating.
So when people discover that some of these challenges come from the past life, when they come back to their state of consciousness where they're at, they discover some of the things, the challenges they face. Obviously, it's helpful. Are there any concerns of that kind of going back and bring it forward? Is there any, you ever seen anything like that?
There is. And so, as we are leaving the hypnosis headspace, I do instruct the person that, you're going to remember this, you're going to feel this, but you have to remember that this is the past, it's already happened, and you have to release it. Something that I noticed from other practitioners was that you don't get a chance to unpack all that you've experienced during your session. So it's just like, they send you off. So I allowed more time for us to discuss what they're feeling. And, because a lot of times they wake up overwhelmed because of all that they've seen.
Wow, wow, wow. And how long does something generally take? Heard you mention about 15 minutes to kind of get you in that state, but overall, how long would it take?
Every session is about 3 to 5 hours. I've sat with someone for 8 hours once to, just kind of go through the entire session. So I allow people that space to talk and kind of purge. It's also important because sometimes people will come up in your past timeline that you are associated with in your present timeline, and I need to know that so that I can guide you through questions, and you'll answer them. And just how is this person connected to you? How does this person make you feel? Who is this person to you? So during one of my sessions, someone saw their partner, but their partner was actually their best friend in this timeline. They were doing something completely different. Um, so yeah, I mean, and then once we get to the end, we talk to the subconscious, we ask the higher self, why did you show us this particular timeline? And we get answers through that as well. Um, and yeah, so anywhere from my windows are 3 to 5 hours, just because you never know how much someone wants to share or how difficult it is going to be to get them to fall into that theta headspace.
Is that generally one session, or it takes a few times to get? Is there a follow up?
So I recommend one session every 3 to 6 months. Some people, and it depends on the type of hypnosis too. So I focus on quantum healing hypnosis therapy, but I also will do just regular hypnosis in an effort to get someone to quit smoking or to curb their appetite. And for that, I would say once a week.
Wow, that's so interesting. Sounds like there's so many different facets to you,
There are to hypnotherapy or
to them
yeah.
and you.
uh, I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, possibly, but for sure, when it comes to the hypnotherapy, there's about 5 or 6 that I employ, but at least 31 that are widely used. 31 types of hypnotherapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you even get into that for you?
So and I know this sounds crazy, but when I was a toddler, I said to my mom, I remember when I got in your belly and I was afraid of the dark and you wouldn't let me out. I was so scared. And she had a meltdown because apparently she kept going into early labor when she was about 7 months pregnant. She
Wow.
kept going and they kept stopping it. And so for me to come to her and say, I tried to get out and you wouldn't let me, and that was me asking her, like, what was going on? Why wouldn't you let me out? And moving forward, always feeling homesick. And I would be at home and just feeling like I didn't belong where I was. And so that just got me into reading and looking into just different things and hearing that there's a whole community of people that feel the same way. And finding out about Dolores Cannon, which I think she developed this back maybe 70s, 80s. So this is like it just felt like a natural progression, just trying to figure out where I'm from and who I am
And
at
how
spirit.
and how long have you been to the quantum healing?
So I've been practicing for about a year and a half.
Mhm.
But I had my first session 2 years ago. Like me actually having a session was 2 years ago.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I know that's the interesting part of other businesses you are. So tell me some more other things you are involved with.
So I am also a writer. I haven't published in a while, but I do have 4 books on Amazon. They are mainly erotic mysteries. Excuse me. So, and I got into that because I've been writing since I was 9. I was published for the first time when I was 13.
Wow.
And yeah, just something that I thoroughly enjoy doing. And I don't know if, you know, being who my mother is, she would have all these erotic and sensual books around the house. And I just like to read. So I think I would just pick them up. She never stopped me from reading them. And I think that carried into my art. So that's another thing is writing. And now I just do it as a hobby more so than publishing them, but they are still available on Amazon.
Wow. Have you considered any other types of writing, or that's kind of your niche?
So I have I did write a young adult fiction, which was not erotic at all. And that was more about dealing with grief as a young person. It was a cathartic novella that I wrote when my best friend passed away. So, and I found that um, that was just another avenue for me. And I think experiencing grief that actually shifted my style of writing as a whole. Anyway, I haven't really been able to pour into the erotic aspect in a long time.
And heard you mention about this self-publish. Tell me a little bit about how does one compare? Like if you did self-publishing versus going to a publishing house, what would be the thoughts behind that one versus the other, and what would you recommend?
So at the time, you couldn't even get to a publishing house without having a literary agent. And you can't get a literary agent without having some sort of published work. And it's like a cat chasing your tail, essentially, when you're trying to break into that avenue. And so while if you are fortunate enough to have that type of backing, you've got the marketing, you've got people doing the artwork, the editing, just this whole machine behind you. But when you're self-publishing, you are the machine. So you have to get your own ISBN, you have to find your own editor, design your own cover. And it is very tedious, I would say. So I would say it really just depends on how hungry you are for it. I wanted to see what that publishing process was like. And again, at the urging of people who just kind of read my stuff in passing, like, you have to publish this, is why I'm okay, I'm going to give it a try, more or less. And it's definitely possible. There's so many tools out there that I think a lot of people don't know about, like Fiverr. That's where I found my editor. That's where I found the person who made my covers. Then I started using Canva to design my own covers. Um, and those are really inexpensive options. So I would say that if it's something that you really, really want to do, Barnes and Nobles has a self-publishing platform, and Amazon has a self-publishing platform. They even allow you to do your own audio recording.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Sounds like you have a number of things in your background. Is there any other things that you want to share? So there's a lot there already.
Yeah, I mean, I there was a time where I had a drop shipment store associated with the erotic books to sell toys. And so finding those tools, it really for me was just about Google search and learning what you can do with your own social, and even, forming a business, and how I won't say it's easy, but it really is just, again, a matter of one foot in front of the other, and just being determined to get it done. It is These processes can take like a day or two.
Wow. It sounds like a theme as I'm hearing from you. You are a champion about really facing removal of shame and just things about sex. There's a lot of things that you're comfortable about, and I love that because unfortunately, a lot of people see with a religious undertone that sexuality or sex or even talking about it is shame based. And so I love the work you're doing just to make people realize this is what people are doing. But
Right.
yeah, to be able to make it something more, and then all different healings that you're doing. I commend you on that. I really, really find it very interesting, and I definitely encourage you to continue. With
Thank
that kind
you.
of being that segue, what do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I do want to be able to, I want to be I still want to be a healer, but just on a bigger scale. And I feel like, so lately I've been kind of in this existential headspace where, you're asking yourself, what does it all mean? What are we doing? And I feel like as a whole, we're just running in place and we're repeating cycles. And how can I, in 5 years, have my message spread, so that there are people who understand the need for duality, the need to have balance, the need to be mindful, and accepting. You have your boundaries, but you also understand where other people are coming from, learning how to meet people where they are without sacrificing yourself too much. I i want to know how in 5 years I want to be able to have that kind of outreach where there are millions of people who are understanding that, even if it's not just from me specifically, but just kind of like passing it on, like to become some sort of like a bit of notoriety. Excuse me, in that aspect. I'm getting over a cold, so.
Okay, no problem. So I also think what's amazing about you, and just the ideas you have and the plans moving forward, you're also a spiritual person. Tell me a little bit about your spirituality.
So I come from a background of a voodoo priest and a devout Jehovah's Witness. And so I had the opportunity to see both sides, Christianity and Haitian voodoo. And that really helped me to see that, there is an all knowing, there is a higher power, there is a God, but then there are also other deities and beings underneath that space that will also assist you. When you're a Jehovah's Witness, you don't see that part of it. And then I felt like my father, he was very arrogant. And so he was just kind of like, I am the top of the spirits. They come to me, they answer to me. And so having that from my mom, where she's like, Jehovah is the one and only, and my father is like, it's me. And then these spirits, I fall in between where I'm seeing both sides of it. And that allows me to work freely with different beings in different realms, if you will. So I do get the benefit of that in terms of my spirituality. And then having joined, I'm in your Ile, and my head is Ogun, and even seeing how I'm they call me MacGyver. Everyone calls me MacGyver. I'm always making something out of something else. I'm Jimmy rigging it, if you will. And to see like it's just all in you. You know what I mean? And if I can even share that with other people, that they know that they are also, I think that's what my father was trying to say, that he is the tool, but there's a bit of humility required as well. So I feel that ebb and flow as it pertains to my spirituality.
What do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered as someone who was open-minded, um, and helpful and kind. But and you know what, also I try not to focus on what I don't want to be remembered for, but it's still, how sometimes it still kind of comes up. But so just to recenter, I just want to be, I want to be known as a healer, as a point of support. And
That's
that my ultimate goal, and actually and I always forget to mention this, that I do eventually want to have a transitional housing complex for women, because after going through so much, so in the first 5 years of my being a parent, I was homeless, I was bouncing around, and there are no resources for women that do not have physical children. So if you're pregnant, you can't get any assistance. You're making more than $12 an hour, you can't get any assistance. I was told at the state's office I was too smart. In Virginia, there were only domestic violence shelters. So, you're looking, I want to help women who are not being physically abused. They just need help in the moment. So that's part of what I want to be remembered for as well. Is just teaching people how to heal themselves without relying on others and seeking that outer validation as well.
wow. You're so fascinating, Phoenix. So, how does one reach you? And additionally, what about if they want to get any of your books or any references?
So I can be reached on Instagram, phoenix.hilaire, and the.sacral apothecary on
Great,
Instagram. And then my website is thesacralapothecary.com, and info@thesacralapothecary.com. And for
great,
my books, they're all on Amazon.
great. So I just want to say again, you are so awesome. I really, really appreciate your time. And we will definitely put all the links and so on and so forth here at the end so they can reach out and support you, especially the last idea. I think I agree with you. Maybe someone would be taking interest in you. And let's pray that maybe sponsorship, they want you to just give you a grant or something.
Right, right.
We put that in the universe and healing of so many ways. I thank you for your time. And again, it's been my honor to have this conversation with you and the meeting at the Crossroads.
Thank you so much for having me at the Crossroads.
No problem. Be blessed, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Well,
Bye-bye.
followers, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the honor of meeting Phoenix. Again, we all want to support each other. She's doing this phenomenal thing. She's a healer, and I hope that you will support her too and get a session with her. It sounds like something very important. I think we all need to reflect on our past and some things that may be embedded some time ago that you don't know are affecting you. So get a treatment. Okay. Thank you for everyone. I'll see everyone soon.